My name is David Dixon, and I am the host of Take a Moment. Um, and this show is, well, here, let me tell you about me first and what's going on. We got a new show on here, and I'll be here Wednesdays at 1 o'clock, so I just want to tell you a little about me, and then a little about what I want the show to be, what I think it's going to be, but it's going to kind of evolve as it goes. So about me, I grew up on the Central Coast. I graduated from Tascadero High School, 2004, and then I moved to the Valley when I was 19. I moved to Fresno, went to Fresno City for a little bit, then went to Fresno State. Graduated from Fresno State in 2010 with a bachelor's in philosophy. So that's a lot of where this show's inspiration is going to come from, is partially that training, partially my experience with life and what I observe and what I'm seeing. And then the other aspect is going to be your input. So the show is going to be, I wanted to evolve into a dialogue. Today I'm going to do a lot of talking myself, because obviously, I'm getting viewers. I want to try to get viewers before I can really have that dialogue. And so, but today I'm just going to talk a lot. But after that, I want to have a lot of people dialing in, calling in. You guys have the messenger box. You can type in comments, questions. I'm going to want to pull those up a lot and talk about things. So today I'm going to do less of that, but as the weeks progress, make it more of a discussion. And what I want the discussion to be about is why we do what we do. I think that in our world we spend too much time just going, and we never stop to think about why it is we do what we do. We have work. Then we got to pick up the kids and go to this, extra meeting, go to this church meeting, or go to this, activity for the kids, martial arts or soccer or something else. We barely have time to sit down and have dinner with our family most of the time. We have, the kids are doing homework at the dinner table, if they're even sitting at the dinner table, and it's just that everyone is just busy, and we're doing. But why are we doing? And the way I'm going to tackle that question is a little bit different, though. And this is where it comes from my philosophical background. The ancients, and I'm talking about Plato, Socrates, the Greeks used to talk about virtues. They would call them the forms. And talking things like love, beauty, truth. And these were absolutes of these things. Justice was another one. These are absolutes of these things, of these concepts. And they would talk about these concepts and discuss them as a means to analyze their society and analyze what's going on and search into their own souls. I want to talk about these same issues, but in a different way. When they talked about these issues, it was question upon question upon question, and the answers were never really that clear. What I want to do is talk about these issues, talk about these ideas, and more ideas besides just the basic virtues that were the classic virtues. But then actually talk about the answers and have people call in and talk about what they think the answer is, and then discuss it. This week I'm not going to, but I'm going to want to have some guests on, ask them questions, see what they think, and form a type of dialogue. In the Central Valley. I know there's people out there in cyberspace watching that aren't in Central Valley, but I know that most people watching the station are in the Valley. And so to start a dialogue in the Valley, to start, talking about things that are a little more abstract, maybe. I don't know if abstract is the right word. I think these things are very real, but we just don't think about them, and so we think about them as abstract. And I think it's because, and the reason why I think this is important is because I think that our society has a lot of problems right now. Let alone the political situation, the economy, it's just there's just a lot of things going on, and I think that if we start talking about these things, we can find solutions together. I once wrote a paper and I said that experience is like the ultimate answer to solving our issues, and I think that our collective experiences can help us understand what's going on and help us understand who we are as a society, because who we are as a society ultimately reflects who we are as a person, because part of our identity is finding our place in society. Depending on who you are and what you view as your society, this can be different things. But when I talk about society on this show, I'm talking about, a much broader thing: California, America, mostly America. I'm not talking about outside of America. So mostly American society, and at the very smallest, the entire valley. So a much more macro situation than just talking about a singular church society or a singular ethno society. So what exactly is society? I learned this when I was in school. A lot of my friends used to do this. You look up a word, you think you know what it means. I use dictionary.com. It's interesting sometimes when you look up a word, you think you know what it means. So I looked up society today because I realized that before I start saying I want to talk about how our society sees things, I need to define what our society is. And so the first definition on here that I have, it says an organized group of persons associated together for religious, benevolent, cultural, scientific, political, patriotic, or other purposes. I read over that list and I started thinking about America as an entire nation. I started thinking about it's called about church society. I'm going to get to that. I swear I will get to that later. It's not gonna flow right now. But I will definitely talk about church society in a little bit. And that's at the end of the show. I'm going to talk about some comments that I've gotten. So if you send me a comment now, I may not address it till later in the show because I want to get through a few things first. But I definitely want to tackle that one at the end. So make sure I get that comment up again at the end of the show. So think about religious. America doesn't have a cohesive religious society. We have many different religions, many different faiths. Benevolent. This was an interesting one. I started thinking about our society as being benevolent and what part of that could be benevolent, what part of our entire society could be benevolent. Now, it used to be maybe the government. I, for one, and I think a lot of people feel the same way, that the government definitely isn't benevolent anymore. Most of it is just a bunch of politicians trying to get ahead. I have very pointed political views, but we're not going to get into that right now. So I found that one interesting, benevolent. I started thinking about Locke's idea of people coming from state of nature, which state of nature is where everyone's basically by themselves, the war of all against all. That's a whole other concept of political philosophy. And he was talking about people got together in nations for the bettering of themselves. Originally, America got together to, have freedom, to have trade amongst the colonies, and to be free from Britain's tyranny of their trade. But nowadays, I don't know if the benevolence of our society is staying together. I don't know where that is. If you see it, then I'd love to hear from you. Cultural, obviously cultural. We're a nation built of people from all different places, which is great. It's a great strength, but we don't have a cultural unity as a nation. That's just obvious. Scientific, that doesn't really apply to this particular political. Politically, there's no way we're politically united. We are probably one of the most politically divided. One of the most politically divided countries in the world right now. We have so much political drama and trauma right now that it's scary. And it's the next one, patriotic. Our political turmoil's eroding away at our patriotism. People are. It seems like it takes an extreme disaster to make us patriotic. I mean, the last time I remember us being really patriotic was 9/11. I was a sophomore in high school then, so that was a while ago. I can't remember a time when we have been patriotic since then, or other purposes. So I mean, that's your job to fill in the gap on the other purposes. What makes us American? What ties us together as society? The second definition was a body of individuals living as members of a community. If you want to look at America, we're a very, very large community. So We simply just exist as a community. Okay, so maybe that's our version of society right now, because what originally united us, which was freedom and democracy and republic, those things don't seem to unite us as much as they used to anymore, because everyone's got their own idea of what it should be, and that's good and bad. I'm going to skip the third definition for right now because I want to come back to it, because I want to read the fourth definition I have, and this is the last one I'm going to read right now. I found this interesting because the example it gave was American society at the end of this definition. It says, a highly structured system of human organization for a large-scale community living that normally furnishes protection, continuality, security, and a national identity for its members. And it's put in a little subtext, American society, as the example in dictionary.com. I found it really interesting. It says normally. So even even in the dictionary, it's recognizing that, I don't know where I was going with that. It's recognizing that these things normally are supposed to function that way, but it's still society even when it doesn't function properly. So we're still society even though we're not really functioning properly. Where does that leave us? And I'm going to go back to the third definition, and this is where I think it leaves us. A body of human beings generally associated or viewed as a member of a community. So we're generally associated, viewed as a member of a community. The subtext it says, as the example, was the evolution of human society. Our evolution is something that this show is going to basically analyze a lot of, along with a few other things I'm going to talk about. You know, I'll throw in a little politics here and a little bit of current events there and whatever else. But it's mostly going to be analyzing the evolution of society. And these are the notes that I wrote. These are what I was thinking about after I looked over this. That's what I said. A multicultural society, as ours, is not driven by one cultural movement. It can't be. There can't be one culture, or one type of people group that drives a multicultural society like us. There's a huge strength in that. We are very resilient. We're very versatile. We're very, we have a lot of variety. We have a lot of different people feeding in to this thing we call America. There's a great strength, and the lesson I took from that is, I mean, look at Nazism. Nazism was extremely prey to problems because of the fact that they were all one type of people. They were all tortured by the same World War I, and they all fell prey to the same type of influence. For society such as ours, we are either collectively driven or collectively lost. We either take everything that makes us strong and push forward as a society, or we pull apart from each other because of our separate societies. And it's like, I don't know if you ever had one of those little rubber spike balls. I used to love those things when I was a kid. And that spike ball is some sort of concept. Freedom, American dream, something like that. But if you think of all the little tentacles in the spike ball as different types of society, different cultures, different people groups, different religions, whatever, they're all pulling away, that spike ball remains stagnant right there. And I'm going to continue with my spike ball analogy after these messages.
Hi, I'm Mike Briggs.